In 3, 2, and 1. We are live. I think it's not working. Hang on. Okay, there we go. It's working. Welcome on in. Hope you guys are all having a great day. Welcome to the RazCast, the live RazCast, featuring Miss Molotov Girl over here and Mr. Social Outcast below, repping the Razbora hat, bruv. I love it. But welcome in, guys. I know I'm not like as loud as I normally am and as energetic just because I'm just super awkward. But we are live, if you haven't noticed, at PDX LAN today. PDX LAN is a LAN event where you just bring your own PC and play games with like what is it? A social like 900 people here?
Right now, there's probably around 900. By the end of the event, there's going to be about 1,000, if not a little bit over 1,000 people.
Yeah, so it's there's a typo on the hat. What do you mean there's a typo on the hat? It says Rasbora. I don't know. I don't know how to how else to spell it. But yeah, it's like almost 1,000 people, so it's super awkward, and I am trying not to have a panic attack. So is Molly. That's great. Um, but
Just a
we
little bit nervous. It's all good.
exactly. But we're super excited to be here with you guys today, and we're obviously with our sponsors as well, Savage Industries. Woo! Thank you so much for being here. It's great seeing you guys. If you guys are brand new to the RazCast, it's a podcast we do every Saturday at around 1 p.m. Usually it's 1 p.m., but I'm an idiot and I forgot my badge today. 1 p.m. Eastern. And I thought I had Razbor, bruh. But we'll be doing the RazCast here with our sponsors, and today's topic is talking about PC building and kind of how to get into it, too. We have two experts here with us, so a lot of our console players that may have not swapped to PC yet, this will be a good episode for you. We are running our PCs made by Savage Industries, so we'll go ahead and show you kind of a showcase real quick as well afterwards. But as always, if you have questions, feel free to ask. And if I don't answer it right away, I will answer it when we go back to that topic. So, without further ado, Molly, Social, I'll give you the stage here. Who are you guys?
Awesome. Thanks, Raz. We're so excited to be here, even though it's terrifying.
I know.
Hi, RazCast fans. So yeah, a bit about me, Molotov Girl or Molly. I grew up in England, if the accent didn't give it away. And I got into PC gaming. Like I've been gaming on PCs for as long as I can remember. I am old enough that some of the first games were like text-based. I remember I had a Spider-Man game that I was so excited to bring home and then super disappointed when it was just one of those like text-based. Do you want to turn right or left? Do you want to pick up the key or whatever? But yeah, other games like Frogger and Galaga and stuff like that. So yeah, always been into PC gaming. When I moved to Portland in 2006, Portland, Oregon, I got into, for my sins, World of Warcraft. But I was playing that on a Mac laptop, and so after me and Outcast met and fell in love and all the rest of it, he got me into gaming PCs, and I have learned more about them than I could possibly want to know from him since then.
Awesome. Well, Molly,
Over to you.
pleasure having you. Pleasure having you. Thank you for your introduction. Social, give us your rundown. Who are you?
Oh, my rundown. Social Outcast. That's been my gaming handle since I was probably 12. Um, I started building PCs at the age of 13. I turned 40 in like 2 weeks, so it's been a very long time building PCs.
Happy early
My
birthday.
very first, my very first PC I built was a old Pentium 2 400 back in the day when AGP and ISA slots were still a thing. Oh yeah, dude. I'm ancient. Very first custom build I did with water cooling was the late 90s. When water cooling was just where people would get car radiators and stuff like that. Like they get the heat condensers out of the heater boxes of cars and put them in computers. That was the very first water cooled PC I ever did for.
They did that?
Oh yeah.
That's insane.
I'm back from like Windows NT 4.0 era, like before
God.
Windows 98 was a thing.
That's
long,
crazy.
long ago. Um, I hold a computer science degree in computer networking. Um, I'm a DevOps engineer, but my first and foremost passion's always been PC gaming. You may see me streaming DCS because I'm a huge military flight sim nerd. Um, I spend way too much money on that. Molly can attest to that. I spend absolutely way too much
Mhm.
money on things I shouldn't spend money on. Um, but yeah, like as far as qualifications go for what I've been doing, I've built some pretty extreme systems over the years, mainly for overclocking. One of my biggest gripes is if somebody builds a PC and it does not perform the way it should, or to its absolute peak performance. It will bother me so much that I will stay up with people till 2 a.m. my time, 4 a.m. their time on a Discord call to troubleshoot a problem with them
I can
to get
attest
their
to
computer
this.
working. Um, I've done it actually for a few people in the past year. People that haven't even bought PCs from us. It, the way I feel is I don't care if I'm building the system for you or you are asking for help from me. I'm going to get you the best performance out of what you have at the cheapest cost.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I
It-
think that's kind of why we want you guys here cuz like a lot of my community is on PC, but there is a good amount of community that's come from Hella Loose that's coming from the console gaming space. And nothing against the console gaming space. I mean, I think it's great, right? But why do you think people should go to PC? I mean, I'm sure socially you're just like console scum, but but it's just better, yeah. But like, what? Why do you think? Like, what do you think is beneficial about PC? Why should people go to PC? And how are some steps that they can start getting ready to go to PC? Because I mean, when I was a kid, right, it's a huge amount of money,
Oh
and it's
yeah,
like I don't know if I can spend that much money. But like, people are thinking of the $2,000 figure, and I don't think that's really realistic with today's market, right?
right, right. So it's $2,000 is kind of where our breaking point is, where if we build anything for less than $2,000, likely it's not going to perform the way you want, just because the parts we'll have to use to go into it. And we are firm believers in we're not going to put cheap parts in a system that is going to perform subpar that you are not going to be happy with. If I wouldn't put it on my desk and run it and be satisfied running it as a daily driver, even for like a office box, I'm not going to sell it to you. I'm not even going to give you the specs for it because it's not going to perform the way it needs to do certain things. Um, as far as coming from console over to PC, I used to console game a long time ago. Ataris, Nintendos. The games that got me into Flight Simulator was Chuck Yeager and Top Gun. That's where it all started for me, was those two video games. And since then I've just been building and building and building to where you have a monstrosity such as I have right here. See if I can get a good shot of it.
This thing is a
This
monster,
gigantic case.
huge.
It weighs probably, I want to say, 80 pounds, somewhere
Noodle
around
carried
there.
that
It
whole
is
thing
a
all the way over here. It was incredible.
Yeah, poor Noodle got his exercise carrying that for me. Um, but it's got 64 gigs of RAM. It's got a 5800 X3D in it. It's got a 4090 in it. It's got a $400 top of the line motherboard that's built for overclocking, and then it's got two 2 terabyte NVMe drives and then a 2 terabyte SSD drive in it. Um, and it just does everything I need it to. Whereas Molly's, Molly, can you move your camera and kind of show yours? Molly's we built more for not just gaming, but aesthetics, It's got a lot of RGB fans in it.
I
It's
love
running
that
a
case too. That's a
5950X.
Lee and Lee.
Oh yeah, that is a Leon
Mhm.
Lee 011 Dynamic Mini. And we put as much horsepower as we possibly could inside of that. It has 32 gigs of G-Skill Royal RGB RAM. It has 6 Corsair 120 mil fans in it, and then it's got two 140 mil fans on a Be Quiet AIO. And that thing is almost dead silent when she's gaming. One thing that I also don't like is building PCs that are going to be loud. If it's going to sit next to you, then it's going to need to be quiet.
Mm.
Now, I don't want something sitting next to you that's going to scream at you while you're trying to play a game. It's going to disrupt you. It's going to be annoying, and it's just not something we want to do. But again, coming from console to PC, people have the idea in their head it's going to be extremely hard, it's going to be extremely expensive, and then I don't know what to get.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where we come
Every
in.
every time I talk to a
Every time.
console person, yeah.
Yeah, and that's where we come in. When I first started streaming and getting things set up for people and helping them out, I started to get more and more people asking me questions about how to get their stream working correctly. How would I do this? What can my stream settings be, to be able to stream the best stream I can at, the resolution I want. And what I was finding is a lot of users had systems that they bought pre-built that they were told were going to perform a certain way, and they didn't.
Mm.
They either got the wrong memory speeds for what they needed, or they got the wrong CPU and they underclocked the thing where it's not giving you the max performance of the CPU to save for cooling. Or they got a bunch of fans in there that are just extremely noisy. Or they got a subpar graphics card that is not going to do what they need. But they were told by the vendor, no, this can do everything you need. And I found more and more of that the longer it went on. So Molly and I decided, let's help people out the best we can with our knowledge. Let's give them a forum where their voices can be heard, their frustrations of, I'm having this problem. How do I solve it? And they can talk with me one-on-one. They can ping Molly. I've had people ping me at 2 a.m. on Discord. Hey, can you help me with this? And I'm more than happy to help anybody that has questions. In our Discord, if people ask me questions, I'm going to help you. That's just the type of person I am. I'm going to do my best to help you. But yeah, it is a scary leap going from console to PC. It was scary when I first did it. It's scary building your first PC by yourself. Um, you know, PCs nowadays aren't nearly as um, difficult to build as they were back in the Pentium Pros, Pentium 2s,
I would
the
agree with
old
that too.
AMD.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
I
old
remember
AMD
back in the
stuff.
day it was such a pain.
It was very scary because the slightest amount of static electricity would kill things. I could run a motherboard, a current motherboard, I could put it through a dishwasher. And as long as that thing is bone dry when I pull it out, it's going to work.
That's crazy.
I've proven to people that how durable they are. I've taken a motherboard out to a curb and stood on it and bowed it and then put it back in a PC and it worked perfectly fine. They're really resilient the way
Don't
they
do
build
that,
them now.
obviously.
Yeah, obviously don't do that. Don't take your $300 motherboard out to a curb and stomp on it. But they're resilient. You don't got to
Mhm.
be. The only thing you really need to be careful of is the LGA socket that the CPU goes in, because the pin array that comes on those things are very, very, very delicate. Um, yeah, please don't go test this. um,
Everyone's like, wait,
but
I gotta check this. Check this
yeah,
out.
Yeah. I see that like Siege Engine is talking about Paul's hardware YouTubes, and I know
Mhm.
that like
yep,
Outcast, you have a bunch of other YouTube that you watch as well for keeping
yes.
up to date.
If there's a new video out by Jay's Two Cents, Linus Tech Tips, or Gaming Northwest, um, or a few other ones, Paul's Hardware Canucks, I will go out there and I will watch them, so I can give people the latest info of things that are going down, or I'm going to test it myself. Though one of the main reasons I got a 4090 is I need to know if the 40,000 series cards are any good, and I'm gonna beat this 4090 into the ground until I find its breaking point. And I have this thing overclocked an insane amount right now. It gets 3 gigahertz on the GPU, which is unheard of, and it's using the
Jesus.
stock cooler. Um, but yeah, you don't have to be afraid of building your first PC anymore. That's not something you need to be afraid of. One thing Molly and I are looking into doing is making videos where we can get a parts kit together, and we sell you a parts kit on the website. And what happens is you buy all these parts, it shows up to your house in parts, not put together, and we have a YouTube video where we walk you through building this PC with you. simple as can be. I can go through all the terminology, all the easy steps of this is how you need to do this, all the way through installing Windows, because Windows can be kind of a pain, and then there's going to be people out there that would want like Linux OSs. Like, I hate Microsoft. I don't want to use Microsoft. All right, I will teach you how to game on Linux. I do it all the time. My system dual boots into Linux,
I think
because
that's a great
I
idea
work.
though, because it's like one of those things when I got into PC gaming was I was like, I want to build my own PC, but I don't know what the heck I'm doing. So if you did get like a
Exactly.
packet, that had all the pieces, because like you have to go online, find them all, check if they're compatible, because sometimes they're not compatible. Your whole rig won't work, but
Right.
you won't know because you don't know what you're doing. So it's like, if you get like a
Exactly.
whole compilation of things that you know for sure will work, and like a detailed way of how to do it, how to check the Windows. Windows is also a pain in the ass for me too. But like, see,
Oh yeah.
I want the satisfaction of being able to build it myself, but I also don't want the pain in the ass to like for it to not work. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Right.
Yeah, yeah, you want
Yeah.
to benefit from like the decades of experience that someone like Outcast has in
Exactly.
building these things, because it's kind of amazing. Like he actually walked me through building this, like the cat backpack PC that we have here.
Oh yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
I was
You want to show that
I
real
was like
quick?
screwing things together. Um,
I don't know if I don't know
yeah,
if you can get it that close, but we'll
let
see.
me. I'll move my camera again. Let's see if we can get this.
So they built a
Or I don't know if this
backpack
is gonna
in one of those
reach
cat
either.
one of those cat
Oh,
Cat
there's little.
travel bag
like
things.
travel bags.
The,
Yeah,
no, the noodle cam. So yeah,
you can
this is
kind of
the
see it.
backpack build. We didn't quite have enough time to fully figure out the cooling, so we have to keep the backpack open while it's on. Um,
I did get time to mount 2 more fans that need mounted in it. That's all. It just needs 2
yeah,
more fans
but
and the
it's
cooling will
really
be
really
fine.
close. But yeah, that
Yeah, but it's
yeah,
like one of
my
those
cord
kitty
won't
backpacks.
quite
It's
reach.
crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, and it was like the coolest thing was like that's really the first time I've really built a PC before. It's just always been Outcast doing it. And as we're putting stuff together, like basically all the components are screwed to a bench test little structure thing. And as we were doing that, he's already thinking about like how it's going to cool, like which way around the fans are going to go and how he's going to cable manage it, like which way around we have to put each component in order to make sure the end result works. And so I can't imagine like trying to do that from scratch. Like I would have to probably put something together and take it
Right.
apart like multiple times in order to get it to be a sustainable system at the end. But yeah, he knows all that stuff.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
LK's is asking, do you have a rough idea of like how much it would cost to basically get one of those, or like how much you would probably need to get into like a beginner PC?
So a beginner PC, if you wanted something bare bones, like say for instance, I see, his nephew, he's like 9 and he wants to get in it. You don't need a 4090 if you're 9 years old.
I don't know about
You
that. All right, but
if you're gonna be playing like Roblox and Minecraft and things like that, you can get away with, last gen's graphics cards or even the gen prior to that. You can get away with running,
I need ray
a
tracing at 9 years
yeah,
old.
exactly. You can get away with, your first PC running a 3070 or even a 2070. You don't need the top of the line AMD CPU. You can get away with like a Ryzen 5. You don't need a top of the line motherboard, that most vendors are going to sell you. Oh no, you need an X570 motherboard for this. No, you don't. You don't need an X570 for that. So if you're running things, like Fortnite and stuff like that, at 1080p, a 2070, a 3070 Ti, all that's going to run perfectly fine for you. A Ryzen 5, what is it, a 5700 or 5600X is going to be fine for you. A simple, 2-stick pack of 16 gig RAM is going to be fine for you. And then a 2 terabyte NVMe. And then you can buy a case that you like as long as it has airflow. That is the biggest key fact. As Molly said, when I was building or helping her build that kitty backpack, the main thing you have to worry about is how are you going to get air through this case? How are you going to get air in it and out of it? Because that is all that matters to a PC for performance. How fast and how efficiently can you get air through it? It's just like a car engine. You think of them as just gigantic, you know, um, vacuum cleaners. The faster you can get air through the thing, the more performance it's going to have. So I try to look at it that way, how we're going to cable manage things. Like if you look at Molly's case, or you even look at your case that you're using, I am very meticulous about where cables go. If you can see a cable and it doesn't have a purpose, it doesn't belong there. You know, the power cables on that graphics card, I absolutely despise because they are in the middle of the graphics card. It bothers me so much. However, I try to get the airflow out of the way of all the fans. You know, all the cables need to be out of the way of the fans. The back of the case, I try to cable manage because some of them, like Molly's, the airflow actually goes through the back of the case, you know, for the radiators. You don't need an AIO. I run AIOs in everything that I run. And for those who don't know, an AIO is an all-in-one liquid cooler. It's the big thing with the tubes that you see on Raz's with the monitor on the top of it. You can run standard air coolers and be fine. You know, the AIOs I just have in there because they're quiet. The life, you know, expectancy of an AIO is really good nowadays anyway. There's a bunch of different things you can do. But as far as like getting into building something that's going to be for Fortnite 1080p gaming, it all depends on what your budget is. Us building it, we build for, you know, mid-range to high-end gamers. For people just starting out, I can help you and figure out a parts list, but you're not going to want to spend that premium on me going through and making a custom case for you, you know, and doing all the cable management. The cable management is what takes the longest time. I will spend 2+ hours just on cable managing the back of a case. Nobody sees it, but I know it's there. You know, and I will not ship a case out that has a rat's nest in it. I will make sure that everything's zip tied up, that it looks good in the back. You know, I'm really disappointed because Molly's doesn't look like that right now because I kind of had to rush it for the LAN party. But when we get home, you can guarantee I'm going to rip that thing apart just to cable manage it. So yeah, like the video that we plan on doing, I'm not sure when we're going to get this out because all the new hardware that's come out, we're trying to price things out, you know, the best bang for your buck, you know, that you can get. And then I want to do it to where you can choose the case that you want to build out of. But we'll get you like the motherboard, you know, list, the processor list, the memory list. And the way you build it is going to be the same for every system. You know, and some of the things you'll run into when you first get into building computers is particularly the RAM. What speed RAM do I need? What is timings? You know, how many sticks do I need? Is it better to run 4 or is it better to run 2? You know, these are all questions that people coming in aren't going to know off the top of their head. You know, and it doesn't matter if you run 4 like me or 2 like Molly. It matters what you're doing with it and if you're looking for, you know, specific timings. If you're doing a lot of video editing, I'm going to say run 4 sticks of RAM that are lower density sticks of RAM, density meaning they are a lower number. So like I'm running 64 gigs of RAM. Each one of my sticks is 16 gigs. The higher you get in the number, so if you go from a 16 gig stick to a 32 gig stick, your timings are going to get really, really messed up. You're going to get higher timings, slower speeds. So if you can get lower timings, lower cache latency speeds with faster memory, go that route, even if it means running more sticks.
Yeah.
It's not going to hurt it. It's going to be better for you in the long run. People aren't going to necessarily know about Infinity Fabric for AMD processors. They're not going to know, hey, if you don't get the right speed RAM for your processor and run your Infinity Fabric bus in a 1-to-1 ratio with your memory, you are going to lose performance. And I have shown this on stream before where I've overclocked my RAM by 200 megahertz and gotten that out of sync and scored worse in benchmarks because of that.
Yeah, it's just
So
nice
it's
to have
just
someone with expertise, I guess, you know, because like again, what going into PC building and PC like making, just the PC world. I mean, you see a lot of the stuff you see on social media is all that mid to high end stuff, and it's
exactly.
just like you see it and you're just like, I mean, I don't know where to start. So I think it would be nice to have that like those again those PC building kits. I think like mid to high range is awesome, but I think maybe that low range too, just the starter
Right.
PC build, because exactly what LK said, right? Like that like for a little one that you think it would be probably good for them to go ahead and learn how to do it. I think that's a really easy, approachable way to do it.
Right.
But I mean, the mid and high tier, oh my gosh, those are so fun. Those are a blast
Yes.
to build and a blast to get into, and there's so much opportunity to get lost. So it's nice to have someone to talk to and walk you through. And I can attest, I've had issues with my PC, and Social will sit there till like 2 in the morning and help me out. And he's like, "All right, idiot, troubleshoot this way."
I will not
So it
call you an
helps a
idiot,
lot.
I promise.
But it's
Um,
super, super nice to have that and that expertise. Um, why do you think, like, what's your opinion on kind of the advantages of PC over like console gaming in general? Like, why should people have PCs?
so the main thing with PCs, especially the way we build them, is I want to build them to where you can have that PC for 5+ years and just upgrade parts in it as you go. Molly's had that same motherboard. That motherboard in Molly's PC is an X470 motherboard that is probably 5 or 6 years old now, and it's been upgraded 4 times.
Really? Oh wow.
And yeah, and that saves you money in the long run. You know, if you buy a really good motherboard, you spend, a decent amount of money on a motherboard that's going to last you, where you just do BIOS updates. And this is the great thing about AMD. Their AM4 socket, they upgraded their BIOS for the AM4 socket to support every single chip they released for the AM4 socket. So she's running a Ryzen 5950X on an X470 motherboard, which when that motherboard came out, those processors didn't exist. And all it required was a simple BIOS update to get it to support that. And that's all we wanted for her was, something that is upgradable through time that you can carry on with you. Whereas consoles, you have like, say, the PS5. What happens when the PS6 or whatever they call it comes out? You got to spend how much money, wait in line to get that new hotness, as the kids say. Is that even a thing the kids say these days? Is the new hotness? I don't
Hotness? I don't think so.
know. That's how old I am. Um, so you kind of lose out because after you buy like a PS5 and the PS6 comes out, all your games that you played on the PS5 may not be available on the PS6. What happens when, like a PS5 priority game or, a game that is locked to the PS5, you love playing it, but you can't play it on your PS6. You have to use your PS5. PC, you don't have that. Yeah, you have some games that are only for console, but they'll port them over eventually. They usually always do. But I have games from the DOS era that I will still run on my 4090. I have emulators for Nintendo games that I'll run on my PC because I want to play Mario Brothers back from, the 80s.
Yeah.
You know, so the main thing of having a PC over a console is your PC is going to be with you much longer. You're going to be able to grow with that PC. The PC can then be, you can express yourself with it. It is a form of expression. I like my big, loud cases, I like stuff that's big, has a lot of room in it, makes it easy to work on. Whereas Molly, likes the unicorn vomit, all the RGB, you know.
It's very tasteful, actually. It's
It's
a very
okay.
subtle blend of pink and teal, actually,
It
in
blends
my
pretty well.
case
Yeah,
right
no, I
now.
like it.
So, it's just you get to express yourself with your PCs. And that's one of the great things about PDX Lane coming
Yeah.
here. You can see everybody's personalized
Crazy
stuff.
builds.
Yeah, you
Mhm.
will
Mhm.
not see more than maybe one or two builds that are alike. You know, Nobody else has my case here. Nobody else runs a Define 7 XL case at a LAN party. Nobody's dumb enough to. They
Yeah.
weigh a ton. You won't see a lot of Molly's cases. Not a lot of people run the O11 Dynamic Minis. You'll see a lot of the Fractal Design cases, like the Pop Minis and stuff like that. Um, but everything inside of them is different. Whereas everybody that has a PS5, it's a PS5. It looks
Yeah.
the same. You can't customize it in any way to make it you. Yeah, you can put skins on it, but you can't put RGB in it. You can't upgrade the video card in it. It's
And
just it's
Guess what else you can use PCs for? Spreadsheets.
Oh yeah.
Near
You
and dear
can,
to my heart.
yeah, you can. I mean, use it like for work and everyday stuff too.
Mm.
Exactly.
LK's is like
Exactly.
boo spreadsheets.
Yeah, like
Molly loves spreadsheets. Oh
Molly
no.
is.
We'll have to do another RazCast
Oh
that is all
yes.
focused on spreadsheets.
Listen, an
And then it
Excel
will be me
course.
doing 90% of it.
An Excel course would be amazing. I think we could all use Excel. I know Kia would love an Excel course. Ryan, I could use it now. Dude, I'm telling you,
Yeah,
that would
it's
actually be awesome.
roasting me. I love it.
I was telling Molly I need to learn how to do Excel macros. Get me on. I'm telling you, like, I would love Excel macros and how to do them because for my real life job, like, I have to know all that shit and I don't know anything.
Yeah.
So
It's so useful for like almost every single
it
type of job
is.
that is like on a computer these
She
days.
made
Yeah, for sure.
a whole pivot table on what restaurants were great in Portland. So it's great.
Yeah, coming to the land. Here's a list of what you need. Don't forget to bring these
It's
things.
so
Here are
funny.
the
Yes.
directions. Yeah,
I'm the
totally.
same way though. Like I'll make a very specific list. Like when I go somewhere. This time I didn't because you already had us covered. But yeah,
Yeah, if it's something that needs done, Molly's gonna have a spreadsheet for it, almost
hell
guaranteed.
yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
we
awesome.
don't.
have one for the business for sure. We have one for
Yeah,
Savage Industries. So
and
Nice.
I do my best to stay away from it because it's voodoo.
And you remember the hidden Excel game from back in the day? Yes,
Yes.
I do remember
Yes.
that. That's crazy. What's up, Slim? Good seeing you. Well, let's go talk a little bit
Sam.
more about Savage Industries. So, what is Savage Industries? How'd you get started? And let's go ahead and take a look at your builds here in a second.
Sure, Molly, you can go ahead and take that one because
It's all you.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it sort of was an idea. I mean, where to start? You built me my first gaming PC back in 2014, 15, something like that. And then we've been coming to the lands. You've been coming to the PDX land for a long time.
oh yeah,
And it wasn't until I think 3 lands ago, so a couple years ago, there's a raffle at the PDX land, a charity raffle on the last day, and they have all kinds of amazing prizes. And I won an AIO. And I didn't even know what it was. I came back and I was like, I got some fans or something. And he's like, facepalm, it's an AIO. Here's what it does. And it wouldn't fit in the box that I had. And so we spec'd out the build that I have now in my Leon Lee case. And that was like when I first started actually listening to him when he started talking about PC components. And I was like, oh man, he really knows what he's talking about. And, you know, then once we started streaming and we started meeting more people in PC gaming, and he just sort of naturally became this like conduit, I suppose, lightning rod for people who were seeking advice on PC components and stuff like that. And just sort of over time, we thought, and I think you said this earlier, you know, that we wanted to find a way to really provide even better information and better service for people who are looking to either improve their current system or get started in PC gaming. So yeah,
Oh
we
yeah.
over lunch one day we just kind of sketched it out on a napkin, and we figured that Raz, we
Raz is
met
famous
we met,
at PDX Land.
we we just realized the guy sitting the other side of the table from us is also playing Hell Let Loose. So say hi to everyone. So we just made some new friends. But yeah, we sketched out on a napkin, and I mean, we both have jobs in technology, so it just sort of is like a side hustle. But yeah, it's been almost coming up on a year. It was May of last year that we put together the website and priced out our first few builds.
While we were on vacation, nonetheless.
while, while we were on vacation. Yeah, with
Uh,
spreadsheets.
yeah, sorry for that. That was a blooper. So it actually was. So sorry to go off topic for a second.
No, that's
So
perfectly fine.
we were coming in today, and we heard people making some call outs, and then like we walked over, just the people right in front of us, they're playing Hella Loose. So that was one of our Hella Loose buddies that just walked over, and we're setting him up with VIP on the server, and gonna me and Noodle and Molly and Social, we're gonna play with him and hang out. But he was getting my Discord and stuff, so we could link up here after the podcast. But so funny. They're super nice. They have really nice setups too. I mean, their PC was beautiful. But anyway, I'm sorry. Sorry to take us off topic.
Oh,
I
that's
totally
fine.
forgot what we were talking about.
We're talking about how Savage Industries got started.
Oh
How we
yes,
got
yes, yes,
started,
yes,
yeah.
yes. So I'm so sorry. I totally had to turn around.
That's all right. I just had a bunch of buddies walk up to me as well, asking me questions. So
Yeah, it's really cool. The land is awesome, guys. Like, I mean, there's so many cool, nice people, and like they will just Google about their builds. Like, there's some crazy builds all around. I'll try to take a video and show you guys some of the coolest uh, builds. But yeah, some really really sweet stuff. So we're talking about Savage Industries, how it got started, your motivation. So let's go ahead and take a look at some of the builds. So I have some of the builds. Well, let's look, I guess, at each one of our builds and kind of talk about our builds, right? And then I can kind of show the pictures. So do you want to show your build real quick and kind of talk about the specs of that one? Social?
Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah.
So mine's not on the site. We don't sell mine because mine's kind of a
Oh,
dev
gotcha.
box. But here, let me
Well,
first take the side
he'll
panel off
show
this big thing.
the builds. The builds will be freaking
Yeah.
sweet, dude.
Here, I'm gonna take my side panel off really quick. Hopefully I don't shatter the glass. But let me get my camera here and kind of point it at it here. So this is my 5800X 3D build. It's on a Asus ROG. I think it's a Corsair Dark Hero. It's got a RTX 4090 in it, Asus Tough. It's got 64 gigs of DDR4 3600 Corsair Vengeance memory in it. I'm using a Arctic Cool. Oh, my camera died. I unplugged it, I think.
No,
Sorry.
it's working. It's good. I see it.
Okay. All right, there it goes. All right. But yeah, it's got an Arctic Cool AIO in it. This big thing. This is what the AIO is. And then yeah, a bunch of hard drive space. But here, let me see if I can get a light in here, and I will show you how meticulous I am with cables.
This thing is beautiful and it's massive, people. Like I'm I'm pretty big.
So
Like I'm a tall dude, but that thing is huge. Like look at this thing. Here,
yeah,
I'll walk over there. Look at this thing.
yeah. So you can't really see any cables in this build. I try to hide everything. The only cables you can see is anything that is popping out. So yeah, this is how big Raz is. This case comes up to probably my mid thigh. Vanna White. Here we go. But yeah, it is massive. It will fit in the front of this. I can have a 360 radiator there. I can have a 420 radiator there. I can have a 240 radiator here, and this is a 4090. Yeah, it is the size of your arm. It's about 12 inches long. Yeah, it's the card itself. The card actually stops right here on a 4090. This is all the larger the card is. The rest of this is just fan. This card stops right at this power plug. And this is how resilient these things are. Like I can get in here and I can bang around on things.
Yeah.
You know, I can stop fans and it's not going to do anything to the computer. You know, they don't care. They're just going to keep running. And I just cut my finger on one of my fans. That's awesome.
Nice.
They're going to care to an extent that you're screwing with them. They will bite. But yeah, this is, like I said, my build. This is our dev box that I work on. It has a big tempered glass side panel that just snaps on like that.
Nice.
Beautiful.
So,
Beautiful build.
but yeah, it is a extremely nice build. Extremely nice to have. And then Molly wants to show hers.
Molly.
Let's see. Her
Should've-
camera's kind of.
There we go.
We'll
I
see.
figured out the. There we go.
All right. So this thing is a Leon Lee 011 Dynamic. We call it the Molotov. We do have it on the website, I believe, right
That's
now.
great.
Yes.
That's a great name.
Yes, I do. Yeah.
So yeah, this is the Molotov. It doesn't necessarily have to be the white version of this case, but she wanted white. The only thing that is not white in it right now is the motherboard and video card. Reason being is they did not make a video card that was white when we bought this one. So it's got a bunch of white RGB fans in the bottom, and I did kind of a white to black two-tone. So if she points at the top of the case where the fans are, you'll see that those are actually black fans instead of white fans. But it's a two-tone setup where it blends from white gradually into black. And the only RGB on the AIO is the white ring for the Be Quiet thing. I don't like a lot of RGB on my AIOs. But yeah, that is running a 5950X, 32 gigs of DDR4 3600 G-Skill Royal RAM. It
I love
has
them
a
so much. They're
that is
sparkly.
that was her main thing. They have to look sparkly.
I was gonna get the
And
slightly cheaper ones, but for an extra $40, I think it was. I got the sparkly ones. I don't think they're showing up that great
The
on my
spark.
no,
camera.
they're
No,
not.
they show. They show. Yeah, I see them. They're not the
Yeah.
solid RGB. They're like the ones with like the sparkles inside of them. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
the
Yeah.
diffuser
I
over the
love them.
top of them is not a smooth diffuser. They're the exact same RAM sticks that are in Mag's build. I forget which build we have other G skill in, but um, they're the exact same RAM. It's just they use a different diffuser, and the actual heat spreaders on them are chrome plated. They are not just aluminum. They are chrome plated, and fingerprints will stick to them. If you touch them and they're too hot and your fingerprint burns to them, it's there forever. So be careful. And that's running a 3080 non-TI. It's got an Asus Tough in there as well. We have found so far that the Asus Tough series graphics cards are the ones that will withstand the most abuse out of any of the graphics cards we've run. I've run EVGA, Asus, Gigabit, Zotac now we're testing out, and they seem to be doing really, really well. And then, like I said, that motherboard on her build is an old X470 motherboard. It's not even the latest and greatest motherboard, but it still runs all of that perfectly fine. The only thing that she doesn't have that an X570 motherboard has is the PCIe Gen 4 stuff, which none of her stuff is going to use anyway. And then if we move down the line, if she can show the kitty cat build,
Oh yeah. That kitty
this
cat
thing
build is
was
awesome.
this thing was a labor of love. Yes, it is a full system inside of there. That is a Zotac 3070 Ti overclocked. That is a Intel build. It's running a 13900K. I overclocked that as well. I think it's running 5.6 right now on all cores.
And again, this
It's
is
got a
inside of a kitty like backpack. If you want to, can you
yep.
close it real quick for a second? And
Yeah.
look at this thing. So it's a kitty
The
cat
only reason
backpack with the little
Yeah, the
bulb
only
that you can
reason we
put.
have it open it is again we haven't got the cooling for the side all set up yet. But all the cables come out of the bottom of it.
See if I
You
can
can still
show
see
that.
inside of it.
There's the cables at the bottom of the backpack.
You know,
That's how it looks
and
kind of
it
through the
does zip
mesh.
up. It fully zips up,
Yeah, it's
and you
incredible.
can literally throw that thing on your back and go to a LAN party with it.
Carried around. But yeah, it's built on this. I don't know if this is going to show up. It's like this little kind of frame.
It's an aluminum frame. It's like just it's like a Connex case almost. It's just aluminum tubing that they've cut for you to a specific size.
Huh.
Um,
They call it like a bench test kit, right? Or something like
yeah,
that.
it's just a little bench test kit that you can pull motherboards on and off of it really easily. Um, it's running a small 850 watt SFX power supply that is more than enough to do all the things that thing has
Yeah, I think
going
it's
for
pretty
it.
small. That power supply.
Yeah, and the biggest thing on that entire thing is the graphics card and the
Mm-hmm.
heatsink. The motherboard is actually almost the size of that heatsink.
Oh my god.
The motherboard is tiny. So the motherboard only goes to Molly. Can you get a picture of over the top of it for me? The motherboard on that only goes to where that power cable on the back is. by the heatsink. Molly, can you point to where it says 850 for me on the
Right
power
here.
supply?
Yeah.
Yeah, so right behind that, you'll see that cable. That is the end of that motherboard. Where that memory
Jesus.
is sitting, that is
So
the
it's
end
like
of that motherboard. And the end of it for the graphics card is right where the graphics card is sitting. Not the outside of it, but the inside of it. So right next to the fan, that is the, yep, right where her
That's
finger's
the end
at.
of
That
the
is the end
Oh my
of the
god.
motherboard.
yeah,
It
it's
is a
teeny tiny.
very tiny motherboard.
That's funny.
4 screws hold that entire or that entire motherboard to that case. Only 4
Jesus.
screws. So that one was like Molly said, that is her first modded build that she did.
That's cool.
And I
I
walked her
like that.
through setting that up. This one we don't have for sale right now because this is more of a labor of love. It's kind of a concept PC right now to see if we could do it. You know, once we get the cooling and stuff set up a little bit better, we might throw it on the website as something you can buy for a LAN PC. And then the last one that we have is Raz's build that he's using right now. And that one is for sale on our website. Now this one is almost identical to what I am running, but that actually has a newer motherboard in it. It's running an X570 motherboard. It's running a Zotac 3080 Ti graphics card. And that AIO that you see on it is an actual Asus AIO, which has an LED screen on it that you can program to do whatever you want. Right now it's showing CPU core frequency, the temperature of the liquid in it, the temperature of the CPU,
I
and I
just want some
think that
anime on there.
you can throw it on there if you want. You can do whatever you want on that thing. It's amazing. And then it's fractal design pop air case. So all those RGB fans came with that case, besides the ones on the actual AIO. And it has a fan controller built into it, so everything runs off the same fan controller and one header off the motherboard. And God, those cables are going to bother me just looking at them right now. It has an Asus Thor 1000-watt power supply in it, so that thing's going to last you for a very long time. And yeah, the case that Molly's is an O11 Dynamic Mini. It requires an SFX power supply, which can be kind of a pain in the butt to find, especially in white. There's only one power supply for that case that is white, and it's made by Corsair. But yeah, Raz's box is an amazing box. We're going to do a lot of our stuff inside of. Okay. Sorry, they just
Some kind of
announced the
event at the
registration.
LAN.
Yeah. They're announcing registration for the next LAN party that just went live. But yeah, so this has Kingston Beast Fury memory in it as well. It's running 32 gigs of RAM with only 2 sticks. And it's also a small form factor motherboard. If I remember right, we are not doing a, yeah, that is a
Yeah, it's a really small
mini,
motherboard in there.
yeah, that's another mini ITX motherboard. One thing I like to do is I like to not waste space with a motherboard. If you are not going to use all 4 slots on a motherboard, I'm not going to give you all 4 slots. I'm just going to be like, you know what? Let's put 2 on there. Let's get you the smallest form factor. Again, get as much air through that case as we can. And Raz's box is 100% silent for the most part. You will not hear that thing run when
Yeah.
he's running any game. And I benchmark all of our builds before they go out the door. I make sure that they are performing well. Raz's box that he's using in that kitty box only score 200 points apart in 3D Mark. So Raz's box, I believe, scores a 17 something in 3D Mark, and then Mags scores a 1500 something in 3D Mark. But I go through and I will do a burn-in test to make sure they don't get hot. None of our systems are going to run over 80 degrees Celsius if I can help it. None of them are going to scream at you when they are in a video game. I want these boxes to sit next to you, be a statement piece, and not annoy the living hell out of anybody. You know, like I used to game inside of the when Molly and I first started living together. I gamed inside of our bedroom, and I had a system that was extremely loud. So I started looking how to make things quieter and quieter and quieter, and it got to the point where she would hear my keyboard over my computer. So it is very important to me that your computer is quiet and efficient.
Yeah, that's awesome. Wait, Raz's video is inverted. Yeah, my stuff is
Yeah.
inverted. Sorry.
Yeah, no, it reads correctly, I promise.
But yeah.
And the cool thing about that AIO is that monitor actually comes off and you can rotate it to fit however you want to mount things.
Hmm.
It's a very nice AIO. I'm actually jealous, and that is the next AIO I will be using in my next
Yeah,
build.
that's an awesome AIO. I really like it. I think that's what I want to add at some point on my PCs.
Yep.
It's awesome. But yeah, so yeah, you guys, I posted the website here. I pinned the website. Molly posted their website here for Savage Industries, and that's specifically the build I have. So be sure to go ahead and check it out. And again, make sure you guys go ahead and join their Discord as well. Wait,
Yep.
is it working? Okay, yeah. Sorry,
Yeah.
hang on. Let me go back
We
to
apologize. We have 10 gig internet here, but there's
there.
also 1,000 people using it.
Yeah, exactly. Have you guys used any of the Lee and Lee Galahad AIOs in your builds?
So I've tested some of the Leon Lee Galahad stuff previously. I wasn't thoroughly impressed with it. The best AIOs that I have found so far, Arctic Cool is the best one hands down because they actually have a fan on the AIO that will cool the VRMs as well. The big thing people forget about is the power delivery system on your motherboard also needs cooled, not just your processor. If you were not cooling the power delivery on your motherboard, you are not getting the best performance out of your system. When your power source gets overheated, it slows everything down. So, uh, Arctic Cool makes the best ones, followed by, I would say right now, Be Quiet. Like the 280 AIO that Molly is using is an amazing AIO. I would not have expected that AIO to do what it does for her 5950X because that's the processor I had in mind, and mine was running a 360 AIO. So I had a bigger radiator with more fan space, and it cools just as well as my 360 did on a 280, which is insane.
What are some beginner if someone's looking to go ahead and just hop in, like what are some really important things to be thinking about when you're building PC? I think one of the most important things you mentioned was like the be mindful of the airflow. Like what are some other things that are just must knows that if you had known from the beginning, you'd be like, I am definitely not going to do this again.
Yes. One of the things I really wish somebody would have told me when I first started has to do with power supplies. You need to understand that everything inside of your computer is going to use power. However, not like it used to in the old days. So when you see people saying like, "Oh yeah, no, an 850 is not going to work for you because you have this video card or this, you need 1,000 watts." Molly has a small SFX power supply that's an 850 watt power supply running a 5950X 16 or 32 gigs of RAM, a 3080 that's overclocked, but tons of RGB, and a bunch of SSDs. And that power supply is not breaking a sweat. Power supplies are rated to run at 90% of their efficiency. Also, nobody ever told me what the standards were. So you'll see where you have like an 80 plus gold, 80 plus platinum, 80 plus titanium. Nobody told me what those were. Those are efficiency ratings for power supplies. Please, for the love of God, never run a power supply that is not gold plus rated or better. If you run anything that is bronze or under that and you're expecting it to perform really well, you are going to be in trouble. Um, you're going to run into issues with, power spikes or power instability inside of your system. And then you can be troubleshooting something that's not even related to your system. It's the power supply. Oh, my computer keeps restarting and, my CPU keeps dying, or it restarts because of a CPU fault. Oh no, my CPU's dead. No, it's not. It's just not getting enough power from the power supply because you're running the wrong, power supply for your system.
Hmm.
So please, the minimum I would ever put in a system right now, 850-watt Gold Plus standard. And it doesn't matter if it's EVGA, it doesn't matter if it's Corsair, pick a brand. Seasonic makes great ones, EVGA makes great ones, Corsair makes great ones, Asus makes great ones. Just go with any brand you want. Just make sure they're a good 80 Gold Plus certified power supply. The next thing is there is a wrong way to put your memory in your computer, especially if you're running only 2 sticks. If you put your memory in wrong inside of a computer, you have what's called dual channel mode or dual channel RAM for
Like
your
the RAM?
uh
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
yep.
yeah.
If you put your 2 sticks directly next to each other, they are running on the same channel. You are losing performance by doing that. Some PCs won't even boot because of it. So the way you have to do it is the way I tell people is for Asus motherboards, you have to have the RAM in the very first slot closest to the power, and then skip a RAM slot, put it in the next one. For Intel Asus boards, sometimes it is the closest RAM slot to the CPU rather than the power. So what you need to do is you need to look in your manual, and it will tell you, hey, you need to run like channel A2 and B2. A lot of motherboards will also have an asterisk on the motherboard to tell you where to put your first stick of RAM. So that is a key thing. Always know where your RAM's at on your motherboard because that will help tremendously when troubleshooting. XMP profiles and DOC profiles in your BIOS. Please use them. They're there for a reason. If you're doing a bunch of manual overclocking and you get into where you're trying to get world records for overclocking, fine, don't use them. But what DCO or DOCP and XMP profiles are, they are ratings for your memory that they have put on the memory stick to tell the motherboard this is the exact settings you need to run your memory at. You could go through and set it all manually, but you're going to be setting 50 to 30, 30 to 50 things. Just set the profile. It will go through and set everything for you, save and exit, and just go. And then a lot of people are going to ask, well, do I go Intel or do I go AMD?
That's
Right
a
now,
really good question. Yeah.
yes. Right now, a majority of our builds, if you look on our website, you'll notice are all AMD. And there is a reason for that. AMD is still by far the best bang for your buck. Yeah, you can go out there and you can buy an Intel 13900K for $700 or whatever it's going for right now. But you're going to run into, oh, well, a 5800 X3D beats it in some video games. Or right now, the 7950 X3Ds or 7900 X3Ds AMD just released just destroys the Intel processors. So you have to kind of just look and see where the market's at. I'm not gonna, sway you one way or another. If you're an Intel fanboy, as they call them, run Intel. If you're an AMD fanboy, run AMD. I can build both. I can show you how to build both. It's not that complicated. Um, and then there's graphics cards. Do I go with AMD or NVIDIA? And the main question you have to ask yourself is, are you going to be running ray tracing? Do you care about ray tracing at all?
Yes.
Are you going to be yeah,
Always.
are you going to be are you going to be streaming? If you're going to be streaming, then
Yeah,
NVIDIA
streaming has
has the
its
better
own.
encoder.
Yeah, streaming has its own whole set. Like you have to make sure that you have NVIDIA for sure because to your point, like
Yes.
OBS runs that InVec and like that is its own. It's basically its own thing, like on the graphics card just
Mhm.
for streaming.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly. And
and then
also another
that's awesome.
question that I get asked a lot, should I run a dual PC stream?
Mm.
And my answer to that is no. You do not need to anymore. The only time I ever recommend a dual PC streaming setup is if you're a console and a PC gamer. Because it makes no sense putting a capture card in your gaming PC that could potentially slow down your graphics card while you're trying to play games. So yeah, go ahead and run a dual PC streaming setup if you're going to be doing console games and PC streaming. But if you were just straight PC streaming, I stream at 1440p in VR playing DCS, which is one of the most resource intensive games, it uses 38 gigs of RAM just for that game.
Jesus
You know?
Christ.
Yeah. Yes. And it will
Holy
use
shit.
all of the video memory on my graphics card.
That's
And I
insane.
stream at 1440p max settings on that game with a single PC. I streamed 1440p playing Hell Let Loose and stuff on a 3080 Ti. It's all about how you tune, and I still got 70 plus FPS in Hell Let Loose, by the way, while I was doing that.
Damn.
You do not need really anything more than 75 to 80 FPS in a game like Hell Let Loose. Yes, everybody's gonna, I know all the first person shooters. Oh my God, Counter Strike gets like 400 FPS. It's so much better if you have high FPS.
Yeah, but you
Yes,
don't have a
in
monitor that
Twitch,
goes that freaking high. So it's like
yeah.
useless.
Also, you have to realize the type of gameplay. Counter Strike is a Twitch shooter. You are, trying. It's fast-paced shooting. Hell Let Loose is not. Hell Let Loose is a more, casual. Well, not really casual, but it's more drawn back to where you have to think about things. You're not constantly shooting at people. There's other things you're doing. Flight sims, you don't need more than 60 FPS. VR racing, you don't need more than 60 FPS. So if you're streaming things like that, don't waste money on a dual PC streaming setup. Please don't. It overcomplicates things, and you just don't need that headache. You know, Tune OBS to run for your internet connection and
He
for your
doesn't know how to
PC.
get the Steam ID if you can show
And then go from there.
him. Yeah, I mean that's all great because I think some of the big questions is like, oh, should I go AMD? Should I go Intel? Like, how should I go about it? So good coverage of all the
Hmm.
main questions. I think RAM also, if you're not like a computer person, you would not know about the RAM too. The RAM is very
Exactly.
important.
And
So
now going to
oh yeah,
DDR5 for everything.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I know. And like, do you recommend going to DDR5 or not yet?
So I'm going to start moving over to DDR5 for our builds just because that's becoming the new standard. DDR5 is
Yeah.
getting easier to get now, but before it was pretty hard to get. It was hard to find. You were waiting long periods of time to get DDR5 because of all the chip shortage stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Now, yeah, go DDR5 if you can. I will admit it's faster. Timings are a lot slower, but it's faster memory.
Hmm.
So,
Interesting. So Molly provided me a handful of photos. So let's go through the photos here. I think these are some of your builds and stuff, right?
mhm.
All right, let's go ahead and
And
pull that up.
there's a couple of us in there as well, so it's like the history of the last couple of years.
Oh, heck yeah. Okay,
Molly,
here
your
we go.
mic's down by your chin.
Oh, yeah.
Can you not hear me? There we
Oh, now
go.
we
Now
can
we
hear
can
you
hear you.
beautifully. All right,
So
so
this
here's
was
the pictures. Yeah, yeah.
this yeah, this was us at the LAN where I won the AIO that kind of kickstarted all of this, at least from my point of view.
Actually, I think this was no, because I had this chair I'm currently in. This was the last LAN party we were at.
There you go. This
This
is
is
where we won the CPU, the Intel processor that is now in the backpack build.
yes,
But yeah.
Hell yeah.
and yes, I look like a crazy old person. This is Molly's build. That is that old X470F gaming Asus motherboard that she's running, and that is the AIO that she won.
That is a really nice AIO. I like that.
I love it so much. I
Mhm.
actually was kind of swayed by this other really pretty AIO that had a sparkly, what's that thing called? The sparkly thing, the pin that goes onto the CPU.
You mean the
The
water block?
The water block. There you go. It had
water.
like this really fancy water block. But it ended up performing worse than my Be Quiet one, so we Outcast put it back in my box for me. So yeah, definitely recommend the Be Quiet AIOs.
Heck yeah. Let's go. Here we go.
So this is right after we got Molly's build done. You'll notice it's only got the 3 fans at the top. We didn't put any in the
Yeah,
bottom yet.
version 1.
This is version 1. This is right after she got her AIO and she was just excited to get this case up and running. So I didn't want to, keep her away from gaming too long. So I got it put together for her. I didn't even cable manage the cables, as you can tell. and I just let her play on it, and she wouldn't let me touch the box again until a week ago. And this is probably over a year ago that this. No, not even. No, this is probably like 6 months ago. This picture was taken.
Yeah, I mean the build is beautiful. I really like that
Yeah.
color too.
Maybe-
I always like the color on that.
Yeah.
Here's the next one with the T.
Oh yes, this is this is Molly's first streaming setup. This is when
Mhm.
Molly decided I'm gonna become Molotov Girl and start streaming.
Heck yeah.
And she was using an older blue Yeti Nano mic.
Mhm.
Um,
I don't think I had a DAC yet. I didn't have my
no, you still
beacon.
have the DAC. The DAC's still there.
Oh yeah, yeah, I see that.
She was using an
But
old
yeah.
crappy Razer keyboard that I'd given her from years and years ago. She was using really terrible Bose headphones rather than really nice Audiophilia headphones.
I love my Bose, but I have a different pair of headphones for gaming now. But
And she was still at 1080p at this point.
1080p. Boo.
yes,
Yep.
single monitor setup as well, man.
Oh my god.
Oh yeah, here's me, Captain Nerd, in
Jesus.
VR. This is my one of the VR setups I have.
This is his cockpit, clearly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Clearly. I think I'm actually. What am I
Talk to
flying
us
there?
about the HOTAS.
Oh yes. So that is a Virpil HOTAS. The throttle alone allows me to bind 145 keys just to my left side.
Jesus Christ. That's just
And I used all of
insane.
them.
Oh my god.
So you'll see my really nice DAC on the table, my tube DAC, my stream deck and all that. I have my laptop next to me in case I need to ban anybody. This was my old setup. I now have dual monitors.
Right.
I have a different mic, but I still have the same HOTAS. Oh, you'll see my F14 stick in the lower corner because the F14 is by far my favorite plane of all times. Yeah, that guy
Your
right
rudder
there.
pedals.
And my rudder pedals. Yep. That F14 stick is an exact replica of a real F14 stick that was in the F14 cockpit.
That is sick
It
as fuck.
functions the exact same way. Spoiler alert, we're going to have Raz trying to fly an F-14 later in VR.
Yes. So make sure you guys stay tuned. We're going to be streaming all day, by the way. So I'm going to, even when we step away, because we have lunch and we're going to step away for a little bit, I'll leave the stream on so you guys can see everything in the background going on too. And I'll just put a be right back and some chill vibes music for you guys.
So this was the first actual build that we did and sold for an old coworker. I built him a system, oh God, probably 5 years prior to this, and I walked him through building it, and he ran that system for 5 years with an old, I think he was running a 1070. That's how old that build was.
That's such a
And
beautiful
he
graphics card
loved
too,
it.
by the way. I love that
Yes.
3070.
Yes. F in chat for EVGA. I'm so sad that they no longer make video cards. It is. Oh yeah. I sold my 3080. Excuse me, my 3080 Ti for the Win 3 Ultra while I was here at the LAN, and it was probably one of the hardest pieces of hardware I've ever sold. Beautiful graphics cards. They cool very well. Just so amazing. In this case,
I will say
it's the
they're
exact
thick
same
too.
case.
They're super
Yes,
thick. Like the
they are.
Zotacs are tiny compared to that thing. The radiators on those are massive.
Yeah, so the cooling stack on top of the EVGAs are way overbuilt. They're like the Asus cooling systems. They are just insanely over-engineered, but they cool like no tomorrow. In this case is the exact same case that Raz you are running for your sponsor build. This is the Fractal Meshify C Mini.
It's like, yeah, it's a very small PC, and I mean it is dead quiet.
Yeah, they are amazing. That's using a Corsair AIO.
Yeah. How much does this run for approximately?
So that one is on the website. I believe that one is. Oh man, I don't even remember what we named that one now. Molly, do you remember what we named that one?
That is the Savage Rogue, I think.
Yes, that is a Savage Rogue, correct. And I think that
Savage
is what,
Rogue.
set 27?
2700.
2700 for that one.
Yeah.
But that was with
Nice.
the 3070 Ti. We need to get some updates for it because
Yeah.
obviously newer cards and stuff.
Yeah.
Grumpy Muffins, what's up, man? Yeah, we're at the PDX LAN. If you guys are just joining, we're at PDX LAN talking to Savage Industries with Molotov Girl and Social Outcast here. Sorry, I don't have anything pulled up right now. But we got our friends here with us right here as we're kind of going through. I don't know if I can keep this on top. Can I keep this on top? I guess not. Wait,
Yeah, I
pin.
don't know how you can make
Oh
that
yeah, stay on
stay
top.
on
There we
there.
go. Nice. There
Oh,
we
there you
go.
go.
So I can have it on top
Yay!
as we go through. Cool.
Awesome.
Awesome.
And yeah, if you guys want to check out their website too, I think I have the chat popped out here. Check out the build I'm using right now is right here for you guys in the chat. So you guys can check out their build. You can also check out their Discord too. Yeah, let me can you get the Discord, Molly?
Yeah,
That way you
yeah,
can
no
join.
worries. Yep.
Yeah, I'm
Yep.
sorry guys. I'll pin actually the Discord instead. That'll probably be better for you guys. So you can see their website. But yeah, this build is about $2,700. This is the sponsor build that I have. I'll tell you what, that PC is a fucking monster.
Yeah, your build is a little bit different. Yours is running a 3080 Ti, not a
Right,
3070. But it is
thing's
the same
monster.
processor in memory.
Absolute monster. Here we go. I pinned it for you guys, so you guys should be able to see their Discord. Again, check out the Discord because it'll have all their builds. And like Social was saying, like if you guys are having currently like issues with your PC or you're looking to get into PC or looking for advice, they're also there all the time. Just keep in mind they're in Pacific time, not the cool Eastern time. Pacific Standard.
We are on
But
correct time, sir.
yeah,
The
it's so funny
best coast.
because I'll send some people over and it's like 6 in the morning or something, and they're like, I'm like, yeah, they probably won't respond for a couple hours. I probably need to wake up.
Yeah.
We'll be up in a
Um,
little bit. Yeah.
yeah, but this is their Discord, and I we posted it and we pinned it. I'm gonna also put this on YouTube, and this will be on Spotify. So if you're listening to it on Spotify or listening to it on YouTube, it'll be in the description as well with their Discord. So anyway, this is the one of the builds. Let's go ahead and take a look at the next one here.
So this is that very first build that we delivered,
We
and
hand
that is our
delivered
old
it. Yeah.
coworker. Yep. We drove 4 hours to hand deliver this to our buddy, who, as a matter of fact, I think he's actually online right now while he's supposed to be working. Let me see.
Yeah.
Is he on? He
With
is. He is. He's playing Mountain Blade 2 right now. But yeah, he absolutely loves that system. Can't say enough about it. Is constantly trying to find people that need new builds for us that want new builds. Um, so yeah, in that case, sits in a back room that gets pretty dusty, and he says it's great. It doesn't collect dust. He blows it out. Like the top filter is a little magnetic one that just comes off. He blows that out maybe once a month. He's like, it's not bad at all. And they live out in the high desert on a alpaca farm.
Jesus.
So yeah, and it still looks like that. He sent me a picture of it a few days ago, and it still looks exactly like that. Absolutely magnificent.
Yeah, it's a beautiful build, and really, really, really compact too. Like, I remember I wanted to upgrade the RAM, and I'll tell you what, that thing is on there. That thing is like very compact.
Yes. So this is actually Raz. This is your build when I was doing the
Oh,
bench testing
nice.
for it. You can see it's got a 3080 Ti in it. It's got RGB fans in it. You can tell it's a 3080 Ti because it has 3 power connectors in that damn card.
I think it's
And
massive.
Yep, and it's using a Corsair anti-sag bracket, which is an amazing anti-sag bracket. It's the same one that no, not the one Molly uses. It's the one I use.
Is it important to have an anti-sag bracket? Because I know like some people say yeah, some people say no.
Yes. So depending on the card, if it is more than a 2-slot card, it's going to sag. And you're going to want to and I believe one of the pictures in here, I will show you a great reason why you need an anti-sag bracket in one of the builds I did.
Nice. So he just says yes, dear God.
Yeah. So this right here is why you need an anti-sag bracket. If you look at that GPU, you will see that it is bent.
Oh
And
yeah.
that is because this was one of my original water cooled builds I did for myself. That is a 1080 Ti Kingpin graphics card. You'll notice the power connector is on the back of the graphics card. When that graphics card came out, it was full copper. The entire thing was copper.
Whoa.
That card weighed 9 pounds.
Oh my God. 9 pounds? That's insane.
And they expected that thing to be held up by 2 slots and a single slot in the motherboard, and it bent the graphics card. So
Jesus.
I ended up trying to bend it back with that custom water block that's on there. This is all in an old H700i case. This was my take on a black and red theme using the only RGB on there is that SecNet logo. That's the only RGB on there. Everything else was just black and red using Noctua fans. Let's see, which one is, oh, this is the build we did for Noodle. This is his wife's system. So Noodle won a graphics card from us in a marble race that we did. And he decided that his wife needed a new system, so we built her a new system using that graphics card. And this is me building this one. Yeah.
He won
Yeah.
the
So he
he
won.
won the graphics card.
He
That's
got the
awesome.
Yeah, he won the
Yeah.
3070
That's what we're
Ti,
looking at now.
and Mr. Graphics won the 3080 Ti. And
Graphics
I'm
won the
pretty
3080
sure
Ti?
Graphics
Uh-huh,
won the
Oh
uh-huh.
dang,
3080
that's
Ti,
awesome.
and
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
pretty
yeah.
sure everybody hates him for it.
But yeah, if you click through, I think the next two pictures are of this build in various stages as well.
It's a
Yes,
beautiful
so
build.
I do everything I can, like I said, to make sure that everything is tucked away out of the way. That's the 3070 he won. We did this build for his wife. I wanted to make sure that it was going to meet her needs. She's not a huge gamer, so we didn't do an AIO. We just did a
Mm.
standard air cooler on it, and I just wanted everything tucked away to look nice.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, looks super nice. Really like the build. Oh man, look how fancy Molly's office is here.
Yes, this is now Molly's current setup, minus the mic. She now has a beacon mic and a different keyboard. But this is her current setup in her office that we did for her. She's got RGB lighting even in the ceiling. Um, yeah,
Look how cozy this all looks. I mean, that PC, like, I'll tell you what, like, the PCs that you guys make are definitely a statement. Because, like, when people see my PC, they're like, God damn. Or, like, when I look at this PC, I mean, it is a nice build. Like, it's not too over the top or anything, but it's, like, definitely like a nice mid to high tier, uh, really flashy, but just not over the top. It's a solid build. I like it a lot.
yeah. The next build I do will most likely be an over the top build.
Hell
So
yeah.
this is all the parts that are currently in Raz's system.
That's this one
If
here,
you
right?
look, that's the one you're using right now. Oh, it's an 850 watt platinum power supply. I thought it was 1,000 watt, but that is the exact build you are using right now. It's got a 2 terabyte NVMe in it, 32 gigs of Kingston Fury. It's running an X570 ITX motherboard. As you can see, is about the size of the processor. And then that is the AIO. So if anybody wants to look up that AIO that Raz is using that has the LCD on it, that is the one we're using.
Siege asks, have you guys built any of the new height brand cases?
I have seen some of the height cases. Specifically, the one I want to build in is not their original case that has that really weird angle on it. I want to build one that looks like the O11 Dynamic. I think that might be one of the next cases I build. They make a really good case. I have looked at them and they make some amazing cases. That might be the next one I build for either myself or Molly. Um, Time will tell.
That's awesome.
The next one I think is a video that you might want to mute just because like there's phones going off and stuff in it. It's like a video of the build.
Oh, sweet.
So you can kind of skip through it and just kind of see in various stages. We took a bunch of video footage
Like B-roll?
of
Yeah.
the well, we wanted to try and edit stuff together to come up with like a little like, I don't know, 60-second or 90-second kind of clip just to kind of show like the various stages of building it, but we haven't gotten around to that yet. Our media director has been on vacation or something. I don't know.
So this is actually Raz's build that I'm working on right here. The one that is in his, oh God, I'm going bald. The one on his desk he's using right now. Right now, I'm just trying to figure out the best way to line up that. If you notice, there's actually a piece of plastic on the bottom of that AIO cooler, and I'm just kind of setting it on top of the CPU to see which way I need to move it, because I want the cables to go a certain way. And this is what bothers me. I have to know and I have to have things going a specific way. And this is how that LCD pops off that. And it's
That's
got a
really
fan
handy.
under it that cools the VRMs. So I go through and I'm just trying to figure out, how is this going to lay on here and not be annoying? How can I have this running and not run into things? And I
Um,
spent probably 10 minutes on just this.
that's crazy. Siege asked, my only question with that height case is if their riser cable is Gen 4 or not.
Um, as far as riser cables go, I always buy an aftermarket riser cable. I'm not going to use the one that comes with the case. I always go and I look for aftermarket things. Oh, look, Molly. My Vanna White model holding things for me.
Your glamorous assistant. Yeah, for sure.
Exactly. So in the little box that you guys see on the right hand corner of the screen at the bottom, that is the controller for all the RGB inside that case. It all runs off of that single controller. And you'll notice, hey, I mounted that thing. Oh, whoops, I mounted it wrong.
Oh, no.
So I started, routing things, and I didn't like the way it looked. So I took it off and I rerouted it.
Yeah, I mean, the
And
build
yes,
is beautiful.
a lot of people be like, but you didn't clean off the thermal paste. I never turned the box on, so the thermal paste was never really compromised. So I did not need to clean it and reapply. Had I turned that box on, I would have cleaned that processor with rubbing alcohol and just made sure everything was perfectly fine with it before throwing that back in
Gotcha.
there.
Cool. And here's the whole thing
That's
put
the finished
together.
product. Yep.
That is
Before
such a
I
nice
put the
build.
actual power supply cables in it. So the very last thing I ever do is I put the power supply cables in. I start connecting things. I'm not sure if we have a picture of the back of the case, what it looks like when you have all the cables in
Oof.
it.
That is
I don't think so.
spicy.
You'll notice there's an RGB ring on the motherboard underneath the actual motherboard.
Hmm. I need to set up the colors on here to Raspberry Red.
Yeah, there you go. You can set them up to whatever you want. It's being formatted when we take it home for sale anyway.
Yeah.
In that
Aw.
picture, it does look like there's a bunch of dust on there, but there's not. I promise you. It's just the picture. And this is the last LAN, and you actually see me using the Raspberry system that he's using right now.
The Pocket Savage.
Yep.
Pocket Savage. And that's
And
all the
that's with
pictures
your
there.
beacon. Yeah. Yeah.
That's awesome.
There we go.
So heck yeah. So we went over kind of like what you guys do, went over Savage Industries, went over kind of PC building. What are any sort of like final thoughts? Again, like if you're thinking of getting a PC, like why should we go ahead and get a PC and why should we think about your company when we go ahead and pick one up?
So, as far as why PCs, why you should buy from us, like I've told people, I don't necessarily care if you buy a PC from me. What I care about is getting you the best bang for your buck. So if you come into our Discord and say, "Hey, I live in Canada. I don't want to, pay the extra taxes and stuff on
Uh-huh.
having things shipped to me," I'll be like, okay. Here's what I'll do. I will sit with you, and I will find out what your specifications are for your system, and I'll work on getting a build together and tell you where you can go buy those parts, where you are, for the cheapest, and be like, "This is what you want to run. This is how you want to build it. This is what's going to work in that case. This is what's not going to work in that case. You know, if you want like a full custom build from us, where I sit down with you and I go over and I design a build, we do like to have $100 deposit on the builds, because we've had some people be like, "Oh, I'm going to do this amazing build," and I spend hours and hours designing this thing, and then they just never talk to me again. It can be a little frustrating when I spend like 6 hours of my day instead of with my wife and my kids,
No, it's
doing that,
understandable.
and
It's
then
like
people just take
consultant
off.
fee.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
so we'll do it that way, just to make sure that we have things. But again, I don't necessarily care if you buy the system from us. My main goal is to get you a PC that is going to meet your standards. Raz, you need to lay off the sour worms.
Oh,
Gonna
what are you
hurt
talking
yourself
about?
again. I want to get you a PC that's going to meet your standards and work exactly how you expect it to work when you turn it on. I don't want you to have to sit there and fiddle with things for hours and be, you know, just blasted by bloatware that other, pre-builds do for you. Like, oh, we're going to put Norton on there. We're going to put Office on. No, I don't put any of that crap on there. I do not want you to have anything on a system that you don't want on there that you're going to have to uninstall. I will go through and I even remove bloatware from Windows before I ship it to you.
Siege, I just ate so many goddamn sour worms the other day that I was like nauseous. It was terrible. But yeah, that sounds awesome. So
Yeah,
again,
Alcaz, I can
oh
actually
yeah,
remove software from Windows before I send it to you. There's an admin. You can, if when you first set up Windows, if you hit, I think it's Control Alt F3, it'll put you in admin mode. It's for system builders, and you go in, you can set up, install all the drivers and stuff. And then I say, there's a little window that says, okay, reboot the box back to, when it asks you to accept license terms and stuff like that. Because as a end builder, I can't install any custom software for you because you are not accepting the end user agreement, and it's illegal to do that. So I'm not going to install any software on there that you ask me to, because you have to agree to it. It would be illegal for us to do that. So I'm going to install Windows to where it's going to install all the drivers. And then when you get the box, you're going to have to accept the end user agreement. You're going to set up your user the way you want to set up your user. And it's going to have things like NVIDIA GeForce Experience on it, because for your graphics card drivers, it won't have any login information. You'll have to log in. They'll have NVIDIA control panel. If you need IQ to control your RGB, I'm going to have that on there for you, and I'm going to have it go through the setup, usually or most likely, for you when you first start the box. So you have to accept the end user license agreements.
right. That makes sense. But cool, awesome. Well, again, guys, thank you so much for being here. Again, check out Savage Industries here. Let me make sure I have their page here. Check out, that's one of the builds they have. So hopefully you guys learned a lot about PC building. Molly, Social, thank you so freaking much for being here today. I think everyone learned
Of
a little
course.
bit. And then Molly, we'll definitely have to rebook you to make sure we have the
Spreadsheet
spreadsheet. Yeah,
cast.
spreadsheet
Yeah.
cast. Raz spreadsheet cast for sure. But guys, thank you so much for your time. If you have any other questions, of course, check us out on Discord. I linked their Discord. If you're listening on Spotify or YouTube, let us know, and we will see you guys next time. I will still be live all day today, so definitely go ahead and stay tuned. Just going to take like a 5-minute break, and we'll be playing some Hella Loose all together all day today. So we'll be live all day. So check us out. See you later. Bye-bye.